Hey friends, what up? Wait, I gotta fix the chair. That ain't bad, but it ain't great either. That ain't bad. Is it great? Maybe. Friends, what up? Welcome back. That's not great. What am I gonna tell you? Should I do this? Alright, let's see, how's that? Maybe that's better. Alright. What am I gonna tell you? Friends, what up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chav Zayin, Daf 27 of Masechta Taanis. Friends, today, still got a cough a shtickle apparently. I'll try my trick. 1 second, deep breath. Not bad. So today we're talking about the Maimados, these people who pray about the Korbanos. Then at the end we get to an interesting discussion about Aliyas, when people are called up to the Torah about the minimum amount of psukim they have to read in Aliyah. Very interesting stuff. Friends, let's jump in. Deep breath. On the Chav Zayin Amud Aleph of Masechta Taanis, 4 lines into the page. Here we go. Friends, this is the best stuff in the world. So these are the ma'amados, these people that pray for the korbanos, and because it says that command the yidden, it's korban ilachim l'ishai, my korban, that's my bread on my fire. My kamer. Now, how do you understand this sort of flow? So hachi kamer. This is how you understand it. This is what it's saying. Eilein ma'amados. So these are the ma'amados. These are these sort of groups of people that pray for the korbanos. Matam tiknu maimados. How come they made these maimados in the first place? The Fishen Emar. Well, because the pasuk says, "Tzavas b'nei Yisrael v'martaleim," command the yidden and say to them, "Es korban ilachmi liishai," that my korban, my sacrifice, my bread to my fires. Ve'ech korban shel adam karev v'u'enu omer al gabav. And how could it be that a fellow is offering a korban and he's not there? And therefore, if these are communal offerings and they're being brought on behalf of all of the Yidden, so Memela, there should be a representation of the Yidden standing by the korbanos in Yerushalayim, right? Some of the Maimados were in Jerusalem, as well as in all of the various cities, fasting and reading the Torah and praying, etc. Therefore, the early prophets, they established 24 mishmaros, I'll call mishmar, and on each of these 24 mishmaros of Kohanim and Levim, there were also these maimados, these groups of people that would stand on the korbanos and pray for the korbanos, Kohanim v'shel Levim v'shel Yisraelim, comprised of priests, Levites, and Israelites. I think that the way that Rashi understands it is that even the maimados were also comprised of Kohanim, Levim, and Yisraelim. Not just it wasn't just Yisraelim, but I think Rashi understands it to be Kohanim and Levim in the maimados oichit as well. Now, when it became time for the mishmar to go to Jerusalem to serve, Kohanim and Levim all in the Yerushalayim, the Kohanim and the Levites go to Jerusalem. So, right, I guess the Kohanim and the Levim, when they have their mishmar, so they go to Jerusalem to do the korbanos, to sing. And the Yisraelim, it sounds like unless they already live in Jerusalem, they would just kind of stay in their cities and fast and read from the Torah and pray from their cities. The Kohanim and the Levim would go to Yerushalayim, and there were also some Yisraelim who were already in Yerushalayim, and they would kind of stand on the korbanos. That's how I understand it. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Esim v'Abba Mishmaris Beretz Yisrael. So there were 24 of these mishmars in Eretz Yisrael. V'shtei meser b'Yericho, and there were what it sounds like, at least the Hava Amina in the Reisha at this point is to understand that it means an additional 12 in Jericho. Shtei esrei b'Yericho nefishin lehu tuva. But if there are an additional 12 mishmaros in Jericho, well then that's too many, because we need 24, not 36. No, what it means is that there were 24 mishmaros, and 12 of them were in Jericho. that when it becomes time for the Mishmar to go to Jerusalem, so half of them would go to Jerusalem, and half of them would go to Jericho, in order to prepare water and food for their brethren in Jerusalem. It sounds like part of the Mishmar was they would also have like some kind of a Torah Nut, I guess, that they would have catering services in Jericho, and there they would prepare food for their brethren in Jerusalem, it sounds like. Omer Rav Yehuda Omer Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, Kohanim Levim v'Yisraelim, ma'akvin es ha-korban, that to offer a korban you need the priests, the Levites, as well as the Yisraelim to pray on the korban. B'masnisa Taanis was taught in Epis Abraisa. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Omer, says Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Kohanim Levim v'Yisraelim v'chlei shir ma'akvin es ha-korban. That says Reb Shimon ben Elazar that in addition to the priests, in addition to the Levites, in addition to the Israelites, you also need musical accompaniment. What's the machlokus? Which is interesting because we're saying basically machlokus between Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel and Reb Shimon ben Elazar, which is interesting because of course Shmuel was an Amor and Reb Shimon ben Elazar was a Tana. But nonetheless it says, I think that the reason why this is okay is because basically what we're saying is that ultimately we're saying the line is divided based upon what I believe is a machlokas Tanoim in Masechta Sukkah about do you say Iker Shira b'peh or Iker Shira b'chli, right? Is when the Levites sing in the temple, is the main singing the singing or is the main part the musical accompaniment? So Shimon ben Elazar, who says that also the kleshir, that the musical accompaniment is ma'akiv the korban, if you don't have the musical accompaniment, so the korban is invalid. So clearly he says Iker Shir Bichli, that the main sort of expression of the singing of the Levites is by means of the musical accompaniment. Okay, and whereas Shmuel would be like the opinion who says that the main thing is the vocals. All right. Omar Rav Chama bar Guri Amar Rav. So says Rav Chama. Nice. Breathe that one out. Says Rav Chama bar Guri in the name of Rav. Who could tell me what he says? Moshe Tikin Loin the Yisrael Shmona Mishmaros, that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, he established for the Yidden 8 mishmars, 8 of these mishmars, these weekly cycles, I imagine, whatever it is, 8 mishmars for the temple. Arba me Elazar v'dalad mi Isamar. 4 of the mishmars were from Elazar's family, 4 of them were from Isamar's family, Aaron's children. Okay. But Shmuel v'midan al shesh esrei. When Shmuel Aramati, when Shmuel came around, so he bumped the number up to 16 mishmaris. But David v'amidan al esrim v'arba. When David HaMelech came around, so he increased the number to 24. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Bishnas harboim l'malchus is David. Then in the 40th year of the kingship of David, Nidjushu v'ayimotze bohem gibor echad b'Yazer Gilad, that they checked out and they found the strong people in Yazer Gilad. I guess somehow that teaches that David HaMelech made it 24, I guess. Alright. Meisvei, we have a kasha. One second, what's the kasha? Moshe tikin lehem l'Yisrael shmona mishmaros. Okay, fine. Moshe established 8 mishmars. Alright. Arba me Elazar, Arba me Isamar. 4 of them from Elazar, 4 of them from Isamar. But David v'Shmuel v'amidan al esrim v'arba, and came David and Samuel, and they made it 24. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Hema Yisad David Shmuel Arab Munasum, that they were established by David and Shmuel. So it sounds like, meaning, whereas Rav Chama bar Guria said in the name of Rav that Moshe Rabbeinu started with 8, and then Shmuel made it 16, and David HaMelech made it 24. It sounds like from this brisa that Shmuel and David HaMelech simultaneously made it 24. Not that Shmuel made it 16 and David HaMelech made it 24. So this is how to understand that. That from the establishment of David HaMelech and Shmuel, they made it 24. Not necessarily that they together upped it from 8 to 24, but that ultimately together they made it 24, meaning Shmuel made it 16 and David HaMelech made it 24. Tani Idach, we have another verse that says, Moshe tikin loim l'Yisrael sheish esrei mishmaros. Friends, you hear this? Then in this other verse it says that Moshe Rabbeinu Taka made 16 mishmaros, not 8 mishmaros, but 16. Shmona me Elazar v'shmona me Yisamer, 8 from Elazar and 8 from Yisamer. Uchsharabu b'nei Elazar b'nei Yisamer, al b'nei Yisamer, when the children of Elazar ended up becoming more plentiful than the children of Yisamer, Chelkum v'amidum alesim v'arba, so they added another 8 to Elazar, and then there were 16 from Elazar, 8 from Yisamer, and it was a total of 24. Shenem, as the pasuk says, Vayimatzu b'nei Elazar rabim l'rashe hagvarim min b'nei Yisamer, that there were more b'nei Elazar people than there were b'nei Yisamer people. V'achalkum b'nei Elazar rashim l'veis avos shisha asar, that they made 16 essentially mishmars, I guess, for Elazar, whereas Yisamer had 8 mishmars. And it says Beisav echod achuz leElazar v'achuz leIsamer, and it also says that there was one Beisav for Elazar, and then in a percentage for Yisamer. My v'omer nu. How do we understand this pasuk? If you're going to say Keichet nefishe b'nei Elazar hachi nami nefishe b'nei Yisamer, if you're going to say that no, really what happened? Because what's the kasha? The kasha is that maybe you could say that they increased the numbers of mishmaros for both Elazar and Yisamer. Right? Maybe you could say that both Elazar and Yisamer started at 4, and they increased the number of Elazar to 16 from 4, and Yisamer from to 8 from 4. So then 8 plus 16 is 24. Tashma base of echod achuz leElazar, base of echod achuz leElazar v'achuz echuz leIsamer. Okay, no, basically Yisamer stayed the same, nothing changed, and Elazar kind of doubled it essentially. So basically, the point is, according to this brisa, both Elazar and Yisamer started with 8 apiece for a total of 16. Elazar's was doubled to 16 just for Elazar, and Yisamer stayed exactly the same, and that's how you get to 24. And therefore, says the Gemara, Tiyuvta to Rav Chama bar Guria Amarav, therefore it's a kasha on Rav Chama bar Guria, meaning, because according to Rav Chama bar Guria, he says that Moshe Rabbeinu established 8 total, 4 for Elazar and 4 for Yisamer, and then came Shmuel, he made them 16, came David HaMelech, made them 24. Now, but according to this brisa, it seems that no, actually, Moshe Rabbeinu established 16 mishmaros, 8 for Elazar, 8 for Yisamer, and then Elazar doubled it to 16, and that's that 16 plus 8 is 24. So Amalach, Rav Chama bar Guria, Tanohi, Vanadamri ki Aitana da Amar Shmona. So it says Rav Chama bar Guria, he says, look, it's a machlokas Tanoim, and I talk old like the Manda Amar, who says that Moshe established a total of 8 mishmaros, and 4 for Elazar and 4 for Yisamer, and says Rav Chama bar Guria, Shmuel made them 16, and David HaMelech made them 24. Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis, taught, Arba mishmaros alu min hagola. Friends, this is incredible stuff. That there were, this amazingly incredible stuff, that there were 4 mishmaros that returned from Bavel to Yerushalayim. This is incredible, friends. Meaning, in the first temple, there were 24 mishmaros. Now, when they built, this is fun. When they built the second temple, so out of the 24 mishmars, only 4 of them returned. Incredible stuff. So, Arba Mishmaros Alu Min Hagola, only 4 of the Mishmars returned to Eretz Yisrael from the exile. Ve'eluein, these are the four. Yedaya, Charim, Pashcher, ve'emar. Those are the four. Yedaya, Charim, Pashcher, and Emar. Amdu Nevi'im shebeneim. So the prophets among them stood up, v'chilkum, and divided up these four mishmaros, v'amidum al esrim v'arba, so that there would be 24, right? Meaning each of the four mishmaros then got divided into 6, so that 6 times 4 is 24, and there would taka like that. Basically, these four mishmaros now comprised all 24 of the mishmaros. So, it's very interesting to think about, sort of getting in at the ground floor, getting in early, right? Meaning the people who moved back to Eretz Yisrael early on in the second temple, they sort of got the kibudim of the mishmaros. They were able to chaparayim. So balulum v'nosnum b'kalfei. So they mixed together all of these additional sort of, right? They divided each mishmar into 24, and now there were like 24 tickets, ki'ilu, and they put it in like a lot. Ba Yedaya v'notel chalko v'chelik chaver of sheish. Yedaya, like, I guess, pulled out a lot for, like, I guess, which week they would be serving, I guess. And he, picked out 6 things from the lottery. Ba Charim v'notel chalko v'chelik chaver of sheish. And Charim also, another 6. V'chein Pashcha v'chein Emar, as well as Pashcha and Emar. They each got 6 mishmaros a piece. Now v'chein Hisnu, Nevi'im shebeneim, and the prophets among them made the following stipulation: Shafilu Yoriv Rosh Mishmaros Ola Lo Yidache Yidayim Mukomo Ela Yidaya Iker V'Yoriv Tafalo. That Yehoyariv, which in the first temple was the first of the mishmars, a big honor. However, since they did not return to Eretz Yisrael when the second temple was being rebuilt, so they lost out on their chance. And now, if they move back to Eretz Yisrael, now they want to get back into the mishmar rotation, they cannot sort of take back their position that they originally had, being the first mishmar. Rather, Yedaya remains the first mishmar, and Yedaya we said has 6 mishmars. So right, all 4 of the mishmars that returned got 6 spots. So Yehoyariv, whereas in the first temple they had the first spot for all 24 mishmaros, now they can only take the last spot of Yedaya. So they kind of lost out. Like that. V'yisol sheba also mishmar miskansin bareim v'korn ma'aseh bereishis, and the Yidden in the mishmar, so they would gather in their cities and read ma'aseh bereishis. Okay, that sounds very nice, right? So meaning the Yidden that were not in Jerusalem, so they would like gather together in their synagogues and read. They would fast. They would read about ma'aseh bereishis, about the creation of the world. Menan Emili, how do we know this? Omer Yaakov Bar Acha, Omer Vasi, Gevaldik. Says of Yaakov Bar Acha, the name of Vasi. Friends, you ready? Ilmule Maimados Leniskaimu Shamayim V'Oretz. If not for these Maimados, these people who would fast, these people who would pray, these people who read from the Torah in order to connect energetically with the sacrifices that were being sacrificed, if not for them, if not for the Maimados Leniskaimu Shamayim V'Oretz, there would not be heaven and earth. Wow. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Vayom Hashem Elokim. The Eibishter says, B'mo'eda ki yirasheno. No, I'm sorry. That Avraham Avinu says to the Eibishter, B'mo'eda ki yirasheno. How will I know that I will inherit Eretz Yisrael? Avraham says, Abraham to the Eibishter, Riboyne shel olam, Master of the world, Shem Yisrael chotin lefanecha, ata ois Elohim. What happens if the Yidden sin before you? Aren't you going to do to them like you did to the generation of the flood and the generation that made the Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Bavel, that they got all mixed up and it was a big problem. So Amalei Lav, the Eibishter says, no, I'm not going to do that to the Yidden, even if they're Nudniks. So now Avraham Avinu says to the Eibishter, he says, let me know how I will inherit Eretz Yisrael. So Omerle, so the Eibishter says, Choli Egla Mishuleshes, Ba'ayil Mishuleshes, Vigomer, right, take me for me this calf and this goat and cut them up. On the front of Ribono Shel Olam, Tenach B'zman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim. Now Avraham Avinu says to the Eibishter, says, fine. He says, I understand when there's a Beis HaMikdash and the Yidden can bring sacrifices. But what about when there is no temple? What's going to be? Omerlo. So the Eibishter says, Kvar tikanti loim seder korbanis. I have already prepared for them the order of the korbanis. As long as they read before me about the korbanis, I consider it ki'ilu ekrivum lefanai, as if they actually offered them before me, and I forgive them for all of their sins. Wow, that's pretty gewaldig. So I guess just reading about the korbanos is enough to be as though we're like offering this korbanos, and the Eibishter saves us. The rabbis taught, Anshe Mishmar hayu mispalin al korban acheim shiskabel b'rotzen. Wow. So the people in the Mishmar, I guess the Maimed, the Mishmar, well, I get, it's like a little confusing, but I guess the people who were in Jerusalem, Kohanim, Levim, Yisraelim, they would pray for the sacrifices of their brethren, Sheiskabel B'rotzen, that it should be received with desire. Anshi Maimed, and the people, the Yisraelim, like in their cities, Wisconsin, the Beis HaKnesses, they would go into their synagogue, V'yoshvin Dailed Tanios, and they would fast 4 times in the week, B'sheni, B'shabos, B'shlishi, B'arvi, V'chamishi, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, B'sheni al Yordei Ayom, on Monday they would fast for the people out at sea, B'shlishi al Hochim Midbaris, on Tuesday they would pray for the people out traveling in the desert. Barvi al askar shlotipal al tinokis. On Wednesday they would pray so that for the askara, so that the disease of askara should not befall the babies. Bachamishi, on Thursday, al ubris umenikis, for the pregnant women and the nursing women. Ubris shaloyapilu menikis she'anikus b'neim, so that the pregnant women should not have miscarriages, and so that the nursing women should be able to nurse their children. Uve'erev Shabbos lo hayu misanin mipnei kvod Shabbos. Now on Friday they would not fast because of out of concern for the honor of the Sabbath. Kavachom b'Shabbos atzman, and certainly on Shabbos itself, out of the honor of the Sabbath, they would not fast. Be'echad b'Shabbos my time elo. How come they would not fast on Sunday? Rabbi Yochanan mipnei anotzrim. Rabbi Yochanan says, well, because of the Christians, that Sunday is a special day for the Christians, and if the Yidden would be fasting on Sundays, they might think that, the Christians might think that the Yidden are up to something, trying to do some kind of thing against them, and it could be cause problems for the Yidden, so therefore they would not fast on Sundays. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Omer says, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Pnei Shu Shlishi Liyitzira, because it was the 3rd day since man was created. Man was created on Friday, which makes Shabbos and then Sunday day number 3. And in general, day number 3 is a weaker kind of a day, as it says by Shechem, after they did bris milah, that 3 days later they were in particular pain, they were weak. So also on Sundays we are generally weaker because it's the 3rd day since we were created on Friday, and therefore because we were weaker on Sundays, we're not going to fast. Rish Lakish says it's because of our extra soul. Dam Rish Lakish, that says Rish Lakish, Neshama Yisera Nitna Bo Ba'adna Be'ev Shabbos, that a fellow gets an extra soul on Erev Shabbos, on Friday, Motzoi Shabbos, Not L'Nosel Mimenu, and on Motzoi Shabbos, it's taken away from him. Says Rashi, the same explanation he gave in Masechta Beya, Neshama Yisera Shemachivim Daito L'Achila V'Shtiya, that a fellow has he gets an appetite for eating and drinking on Shabbos, and it goes away on Motzoi Shabbos, Shnei Amar. Although I'll tell you something, it's Sunday right now, and I have an appetite. It was Sunday. It was the last day of Hanukkah today. I ate 3 sufganiyot, but I didn't have sufganiyot the rest of Hanukkah. I don't think so. I guess it's okay. They were kind of okay. Let's go weiter. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, Shabbos vayinofash, that he rests, and then vayinofash. Kevin sheshavas, once already he rests, voy of the nefesh. So then it's kind of like a gewalt, because the nefesh, the extra soul, this sort of appetite that we get, goes away, and it's shver, and therefore on Sunday we do not fast, the Maimodus. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the fast days. So we say that on Sunday they read from the Torah Bereshis as well as the parsha of Vayihirakia. Now, Vihirakia. So now Tana Bereshis b'shnayim Yirakia be'echod. So the parsha of Bereshis would be with 2 aliyahs, and the parsha of Yehirakia would be 1 aliyah. Now, Bishlomi Yirakia be'echod tlasu psukei av. Now says the Gemara, I understand why the parsha of Yehirakia is 1 aliyah, because it's only 3 psukim. So it's 3 psukim, that's enough for 1 aliyah. The minimum amount for 1 aliyah is 3 psukim. Fine. Elebreshis b'shnayim, hey psukei havyun. But 1 second. But the parsha of Bereshis, we said, are read by 2 fellows, 2 aliyahs. But it's only 5 psukim. V'tanya, we learned in the Brayso, Akori b'Torah yifchos migimel psukim, that a fellow who's reading from the Torah should not read less than 3 psukim. So I don't understand. If the parsha of Bereshis is only 5 psukim, how could 2 people be reading it? Because you have to have at least 3 psukim. So if you have 3, if the first guy reads 3, then the second guy is only reading 2. If the first guy reads 2, the second guy is reading 3, but the first guy only read 2. How are you supposed to divide 5 in a way that there's 3 for each? Rabba Medoleg Ushmula Meposek. So Rab says easy. You just read the 3rd pasuk twice. Okay, the first guy will read psukim 1, 2, and 3. The second guy will read psukim 3, 4, and 5. So like that. Shmuel Omar Posek, where Shmuel says you just cut the middle one in half. So the first guy does 1, 2, and half of 3. The second guy does half of 3, and then 4 and 5. Rav Damar Doleg Matam Lo Omar Posek. Rav, who says that you just read the middle pasuk twice, how come it doesn't say like Shmuel, who says just cut the 3rd pasuk in half? So Kasavar, because Rav holds kol psuka de lo paske Moshe onon lo paskinon le. Any verse that Moshe didn't divide up, we don't divide it up. Meaning, if Moshe decided that verse is from the beginning till the end, so we're not going to cut it in half and make our own break in it. Ushmuel Amr Posek, and Shmuel says that we're allowed to, that we do cut the middle pasuk in half. Umi paskinon, are you allowed to do that? Rab Chanina Kara, Rab Chanina the Torah reader said, Tsar Gadol Hayali Eitz Rab Chanina Agadol, that I had a lot of pain, a lot of stress by the great Rab Chanina, Vlohita li lifsok al litinoka shobes rabin, Hoyel uleslamed asuyin. Says Rab Chanina the Torah reader that he tried really hard. He wanted to be able to divide psukim in half, yet Rab Chanina would only allow him to divide psukim in half in the context of teaching children Torah. But so that they can sort of digest it better if it's broken up into smaller pieces. But other than that, you're not allowed to break it up. So therefore, how could Shmuel say that when you have the 5 psukim of Bereshis, you could just divide the 3rd pasuk in half? It's not simple at all, the concept of dividing a pasuk in half. So Shmuel awesome time of my mishum dela'ef. So Shmuel says, well, what's the reason why Reb Chanina Agadol said that Reb Chanina Kara was allowed to divide up the psukim for the children? Well, because there was no alternative. You needed to divide up the psukim so that the sort of children can learn it in smaller sections, smaller bits. Hachanami le'efshir. So here also there is no choice. We have 5 psukim. What do you want me to tell you? We have no choice but to cut the middle one in half. Ushmuel Amar Posek, my time lo Amar Doleg. Now when Shmuel says that you divide the 3rd pasuk in half, why doesn't he say like Rav, who just says that just read the 3rd pasuk twice? So Gzer Mishum HaNechnosim, Gzer Mishum HaYotzin. Well, because we're concerned by the people coming in and people coming out, right? Well, Shmuel says, what happens if you do like Rav, and the first fellow to come up to read from the Torah reads 3 psukim. If somebody leaves, then they might think, oh, the first person read 3 psukim, Mistama, the second person is only reading 2 psukim. Or if the first fellow, or if like, if we say like Rav, that they read the 3rd pasuk twice, so what happens if somebody came in the middle and he sees that the second fellow reading from the Torah is reading 3 psukim, he'll think that the first fellow only read 2 psukim. He'll think that you're allowed to just read 2 psukim. So Shmuel is concerned about that, and therefore he says, well, you cut it in half so that it's clear that you always need to have at least 3 psukim. Meisrei, we have a kasha. Parsha shel shisha psukim korin osa b'shnayim. Okay, so we have a brisa that says that if you have a parsha that's 6 verses, so you cut it into 2, okay, and 3 each. V'shel chamisha b'yochid. And if it's a parsha of 5 psukim, so one person reads it. You don't divide it up in any kind of a way. V'marishan kori gimel, hasheni kori shnayim mi parsha zov, ve'echem parsha acheres. And if you do divide up this parsha that has 5 psukim, and the first fellow reads 3, well then the second fellow should not read 2, he should read 2 from that, the remaining 2 in the parsha, plus another 1 from the next parsha. V'yeshom gimel, some say taka 3 from the next parsha. Because we don't start a new parsha and read less than 3 psukim. Okay, fine. Now, now I don't understand. This Bryce is saying that when you have 5 psukim in a parsha, so you read the first 3. So first of all, you shouldn't divide it up. And if you do divide it up so that somebody reads the first 3, well then somebody else should read the final 2 plus another bit from the next parsha. But nobody is suggesting, well, just divide the 3rd pasuk in half. Nobody's suggesting, well, just read the 3rd pasuk twice. So it's a kasha on Rav and a kasha on Shmuel. So shani osam dislei Ravcha. So the Gemara answers, no, that's different. The reason why the Brisa is suggesting that you can read from the next parsha is because there is another parsha to read from. But in this case, in our case of Bereshis and Yehirakia, we have a specific bunch of psukim that we're allowed to read, no more and no less, and therefore we are in a more difficult situation, and we need to divide these 5 psukim into 2, no more, no less, and therefore Rav says, just read the 3rd pasuk twice. Shmuel says, divide the 3rd pasuk in half. Friends, that was Daf Chav Zayin of Masechta Taanis. The first part of the daf discussed the mishmaros. We saw an interesting machlokas about how exactly the mishmaros were established. The opinion of Rav Chama Bar Guri in the name of Rab was that Moshe Rabbeinu established 8, Shmuel upped it to 16, and David HaMelech made it 24. We saw another opinion, which was that initially Moshe Rabbeinu made it 16, right? 8 for Elazar and 8 for Isamar, and then because Elazar became more than Isamar, so then Elazar doubled to 16, added another 8, doubled to 16, and Isamar stayed at 8. We learned very interestingly that when the second temple was built, not all of the Mishmaros immediately moved to Jerusalem, and for that reason, the ones who did, the 4 mishmaros that did go to Jerusalem, kind of won big time, and they got 6 mishmaros each, to the extent that even if Yoyariv, who was initially in Bayis Rishon, the first of the mishmaros, since he didn't come back for Bayis Sheni right away at least, so then he would not be able to get to reclaim his position number 1. He would only be able to go at the end of Yedaya, who now sort of chapped Orion. We discussed the Maimados, how they would fast on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, and on Shabbos they would not fast because of the honor of Shabbos. And we saw 3 reasons why they would not fast on Sunday either. Rabbi Yochanan says because Sunday is a Christian holiday and they don't want to sort of ruffle any feathers over there. We saw the opinion of Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani, who says that, well, it's the 3rd day after man was created, and therefore we are generally weaker on Sunday. And we saw the opinion of Rish Lakish, who says, well, because on Shabbos you get Neshama Yisera, and then it goes away after Shabbos, so on Sunday we're a shtickle weaker. We then saw that when it comes to reading the Psukim by the Maimados, that they would read. So a parsha that was 5 psukim, what do you do? We say that we would call up 2 people, but you can't, each person who reads from the Torah has to read at least 3 psukim. So Rav says, well, if there's 5 psukim, so then what you do is, you read the 3rd pasuk twice, right? The first fellow will read psukim 1, 2, and 3, and the second fellow will read psukim 3, 4, and 5. Shmuel says that no, what you do is you just divide up the 3rd pasuk in half. So you have 1, 2, and half of 3, as well as half of 3, 4, and 5. Friends, that was Daf Chof Zayin Masechta Taanis. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.